Spain mourns the victims of the Barcelona terror attacks as the manhunt for the driver of the van continues. A new film exposes how jihadists network and target recruits in Europe. And Mali's Songhai Blues brings the party to Bamako. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. We begin this evening with the investigation into the deadly terror attacks in Spain. Catalan police say they have arrested a fourth man in connection with two terrorist attacks in the Barcelona region Thursday that left at least 14 people dead and dozens more injured. Police announced the arrests on Twitter Friday but gave no further details. Police also say they are still searching for the brother of one of the men already in police custody, but they do not know whether he was the driver of the van. Meanwhile, police shot and killed 5 suspects in their Camrys after they drove a car into a crowd of pedestrians. Officials say 6 civilians were injured. The driver of the van in Barcelona is still being sought, hours after 2 suspected accomplices were arrested on Thursday.
This culminated with the arrest of 2 people in the afternoon, 2 people who we believe to be linked to either the attack or its preparation, and we are also linking them to an incident this morning in Alcanar, an explosion at a house in which 1 person was killed and another wounded.
Well, authorities believe the incident in Cambrils is linked to the Barcelona attack, but no details were released. The Islamic State is claiming responsibility for the Barcelona attack. Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy calls the van attack jihadist terrorism.
Hoy España, y más concretamente Barcelona,
Today, Spain, and more accurately Barcelona, has received the love and solidarity that we have shared with other cities and countries hit by the same terrorist brutality in other moments. I want to say that we are not only united by the grief, but we are especially united by the firm will to defeat those who want to take our values and our way of living away from us.
European leaders, including British Prime Minister Theresa May and French President Emmanuel Macron, are also condemning the attack. Now, standing by via Skype, live via Skype in Barcelona with the latest investigation details is Ana Lado. Ana, bring us up to speed now where the investigation actually stands right now.
Hello, good afternoon from Barcelona today. It was a sad day. People are scared in Barcelona, but they want to stay strong and face terrorism. And now the investigation is continuing, and what we know now, the latest, is that there are 14 people who were killed. The last was this morning. There was a woman that was in a critical situation, and she died this morning. And also there were 100 injured. 15 of them are critical, and there are 4 from around 34 nationalities. And also, as you said, there are 4 men that are arrested. Today in Barcelona, around 12 p.m. Local time, there were a minute of silence in Catalonia Square, the main square in Barcelona, with thousands of people. And some of them went to Las Ramblas to put some flowers and some candles. And they said that they have fear.
Now we know that still the mood is somber there, and you personally were not too far from where the attacks happened. How is life today? Are people somehow trying to come together and try to go on with life?
Yes, I was yesterday 5 minutes from the place where the attack took place. I was taking a course in Paseo de Gracia, and the attack took place in Las Ramblas. This is a distance of 5 minutes by walk. And yes, at that moment, people were very, very scared. And there was police everywhere in every corner. And but you can see also some citizens in different streets, not very close from Las Ramblas, that they were continuing with their life.
Yeah.
Life goes on, and they were continuing.
And now, very quickly, are there specific measures the government is taking to kind of reassure people that it will be okay?
Yes, what we can see now in Barcelona, and not also in Barcelona, in Catalonia and in the most important cities of Spain, is that police is everywhere, in every corner, and they say that the operation is under control. They are looking for 4 more men, apart from the 4 men that were arrested, and they continue to work to look for these 4 more men that they are looking for. But they say that the operation is under control, and to calm people, you can see police everywhere in every corner in Barcelona, but also when you leave the city, you can see police everywhere, on the roads, on villages, on towns, everywhere.
Anna, thank you very much for keeping us up to speed there.
My pleasure.
That's Ana Lado reporting live from Barcelona. Now, the United States is condemning the terror attack in Barcelona and is offering assistance to Spain. Terrorist group Islamic State has claimed the attack was performed by one of its soldiers without offering any proof. Our viewers, Laritza Hoke reports.
The vehicle sped along the pedestrian area, popular with tourists because of its bars, shops and restaurants. A white van drove by, mowing down people and sending others to run for cover. Eyewitnesses described the scene as chaotic and frightening.
People were scared, running all over the place. There were bloody faces. It was terrible.
U.S. President Donald Trump promptly tweeted to condemn the attack and to offer U.S. help. Speaking during a visit in Panama, Vice President Mike Pence blamed the attack on radical Islamic terrorism.
But whoever is responsible should know that the United States of America, together with our allies, will find and punish those responsible and drive the evil of radical Islamic terror from the face of the earth.
U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson expressed condolences to the victims' families and asked Americans in Spain to contact their loved ones to let them know they're safe. He reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to fight terrorism worldwide.
Terrorists around the world should know the United States and our allies are resolved to find you and bring you to justice.
Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy commended the international outpour of solidarity with Barcelona, which he said is sharing the destiny of other cities attacked by the jihadists.
Places like Madrid, Paris, Nice, Brussels, Berlin, or London have experienced the same pain and the same uncertainty as the people of Barcelona suffer today. I want to convey to them the love, solidarity, and closeness of all the Spain and the rest of the world.
Rajoy said the government will coordinate efforts to find perpetrators, reinforce security, and assist the victims' families. He called on the world to unite in fighting the menace of terrorism that threatens justice, human rights, and democracy everywhere in the world. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
On to Africa now. Sierra Leone has buried more than 350 people killed earlier this week in mudslides in the country's capital, Freetown. Another 600 people remain unaccounted for as workers try to recover more bodies from the thick mud and debris of smashed homes. President Ernst Bai Koroma offered his condolences and support during a burial ceremony on Thursday.
We have come together to share the agony inflicted upon our nation by the pitiless floods and ferocious mudslides. This is another painful episode in our nation's history. Hundreds of our unsuspecting compatriots were swept away from their sleep unto ultimate death.
Well, the Sierra Leone government contends that many victims ignored instructions to evacuate after it warned of a new danger from a large crack that has opened on a mountainside. Sierra Leone is asking for international assistance and says it's doing all it can to stem the outbreak of deadly disease. Meanwhile, the human rights organization here, Amnesty International, issued a statement accusing the government of failing to learn from similar past incidents. To East Africa now, the United Nations Refugee Chief Filippo Grandi is calling on warring parties, regional states and the international community to look for urgent ways to find peace, as worsening violence in South Sudan forces more people to flee for their lives. Grandi commented during a visit to Al-Nimri refugee camp in East Darfur, Sudan, where he met South Sudanese refugees and the local hosts. Grandi says the main worry of those he spoke to is war, which threatens their children, their women, and their livelihoods. During his visit to Sudan, Grandi also highlighted the country's key role in hosting hundreds of thousands of South Sudanese refugees. Sudan has registered some 170,000 new arrivals so far this year.
This is very sad that after all these months of bleeding its population outside, South Sudan has not yet found peace. And this is really the responsibility of its leadership, of its opposition, to start behaving responsibly.
Well, the High Commissioner for Refugees, United Nations, Filippo Grandi, speaking there. He is calling on, or rather, the conflict in South Sudan has created Africa's biggest refugee crisis since the 1994 Rwanda genocide. Now, UN agencies say they are receiving a fraction of the cash they need to provide food and shelter. Well, the U.S. military says 7 al-Shabaab militants have been killed in a series of airstrikes in southern Somalia. The military's Africa Command says U.S. forces conducted 3 precision airstrikes on Wednesday and Thursday in Jilib. That's a town about 200 kilometers south of Mogadishu. It says the strikes were conducted in coordination with Somali forces. Now, the Somali government says President Abdullahi Mohamed Farmajo authorized the coordinated cooperation. Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover during conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We are also streaming our show live on Facebook, so check us out and share our show with your friends also. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory. Now, coming up, Kenya's post-election deaths raise questions over police brutality. Stay with us.
My name's Carla Babb, and I work the Pentagon beat. That access helps me to do better stories. Every day it's my responsibility to collect all of the defense news. It keeps our VOA viewers informed. I get to travel all across the globe. Anything that's defense related and how to protect and keep people safe, that's where I'll go. So it's never a dull moment at the Pentagon. My name is Carla Babb. This is my beat.
Well, a Kenyan police monitor is investigating the deaths of 28 people following last week's disputed elections. Officials say investigators attended the autopsies of a young girl and a baby allegedly killed by the police. Protests erupted after the election board announced that incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta had won re-election by 1.4 million votes. Opposition leader Raila Odinga is disputing the results. Now, the government-funded but civilian-run Independent Police Oversight Authority is fast-tracking investigations of all deaths and injuries attributed to the police following the elections. That's according to its chief, Macharia Njeru. The police watchdog is investigating deaths reported by police and brought forth by individuals and human rights organizations.
By and large, we expect to conclude most of these investigations fairly quickly, because we must say that that is what we are giving special focus now. We are giving priority to these, election-related misconduct cases, because it's the right thing to do. The public, we believe that the public do not want to see investigations that are taking forever. They want to know that something is actually happening.
Now, the police monitor, IPOA, was established by the government in 2011 after police drew criticism for many killings, killings of many protesters after the disputed election of 2007. Not far from Kenya, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame paid tribute to the support from African leaders at his inauguration ceremony on Friday after winning a third term with nearly 99% of the vote in the August 4th presidential election. Kagame was not meant to stand again, but Rwanda's constitution was changed in 2015 to allow him to extend his 17-year rule. Now, Kagame took the oath of office before African leaders and his supporters at Amahoro National Stadium. Rights groups and opponents accuse him of ruling with an iron fist, suffocating dissent and dealing ruthlessly with critics. But Kagame's supporters hail him for achieving robust economic growth and leading the country to order and stability after the 1994 genocide. Well, in South Africa, lawyers for the young model accusing Zimbabwe's First Lady Grace Mugabe of assaulting her in a Johannesburg hotel now say that her family has been approached with an offer of money to drop the allegation. Well, the family is said to be uninterested in a settlement and instead seeks justice for what they allege happened. South African police say a red alert was issued to prevent Grace Mugabe from leaving the country after Zimbabwe's government requested diplomatic immunity.
If, and I hope, that the police and the National Prosecuting Authority would do their duty, would do what they have to, then we'll be very happy. But if they don't, we will monitor this, we will support the victim in this regard, and if nothing happens, we will certainly consider prosecuting this matter on our own. So from our point of view, we just want to make sure that the principle that everybody is equal before the law and that there should not be selective prosecution, that is entrenched.
Now, the situation has become a diplomatic mess for South Africa's government, and Zimbabwe's 93-year-old President Robert Mugabe, who is in fact in South Africa apparently to deal with that crisis. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. In our Music Maker segment, Mali's Shanghai Blues. We'll be right back.
Ntazahemukira Repubulika y'u Rwanda.
The murder of UN officials cannot end with an administrative inquiry into their deaths. There needs to be a genuine investigation that uncovers the facts.
Common sense for her to be punished for a crime she committed.
I wanted to present music and a side of American culture that is most important to me, that is a part of who I am. They're going to get some incredible performances. That's one of the things I love, bringing these artists in so you can get to see them do what they do. It's soul music, and that's what music is. It's that which comes from the soul.
Welcome back to Africa 54, and here's what's trending. Now, gardening enthusiasts in China find a new way to go green. Growing vegetables and paper on limited balcony spaces is now trending. In addition to solving the problem of limited arable soil, it also saves water and doesn't require pesticides. Beans are soaked in water for between 8 and 10 hours to soften and swell. They're then placed in soaked paper cartels on the upper mashed layer of containers before spreading the hedgiest shoots on paper. What is required when the sprouts reach 10 centimeters? They're ready for cooking. Well, next up, robots are no strangers to the Japanese, but at the Henan Hen Na Hotel, which translates as Weird Hotel. There's a robot at every turn, turning checking in into a fully automated affair. Guests needn't worry about losing their door keys. The hotel uses facial recognition technology to allow people in and out of their rooms. From factories to fast food, the Japanese seem to embrace robots, not fear them, rather. Now, the debate over machines snatching jobs from people is muted in Japan, where birth rates have been sinking for decades, raising fears of a labor shortage. With robots to do heavy lifting and drudge work, humans are on hand to keep them running. And that is a trade-off that the island nation thinks is okay. Well, and finally, models, designers and organizers put the best of Afghan designs onto the catwalk despite ongoing violence by Taliban and Islamic State militants. Amid tight security, more than 24 young models, including 6 women, strutted down the catwalk in the garden of a private Kabul villa, proudly displaying the traditional clothing and costumes of Afghanistan's many ethnic groups. The male models are showing off Afghan variants of the shalwar kameez, the men's long shirt and trousers. The women are wearing colorful Afghanis made from softly flowing and intricately embroidered materials, some with matching scarves. Kabul has seen only a few fashion shows over the past years, mostly catering to international audiences. And that is what is trending today. Well, now Somalia's newly found stability is creating hope, and it's beginning to attract foreign workers, including footballers who are joining Somalia football clubs. Africa 54's Haiti Adams Fitzpatrick has this story.
Mustafa Maxwell, a Nigerian footballer of Benadir team in Mogadishu, says he feels excited to be playing in Somalia, where he believes he can contribute and mobilize his teammates to win the league. In Mogadishu, he told VOA that he did not feel any fear since arriving in Somalia 4 years ago.
Since I came to Somalia, at least I've seen the people, and I found out they are lovely people, so I'm very happy to be among them. Today, I'm very, very happy. No fear. I'm okay. I'm in peace. I'm happy to be in Somalia.
Maxwell says he sees there is peace in football, and that's what lured him to come to Somalia.
Yeah, actually, there's a challenge, but at least for me, I just feel in football, I believe that football is all about peace. So when I am asked to come to Mogadishu to play football, since it's football, I believe there's peace in football. That is why I came to Somalia.
Somalia's top clubs are searching around the region and continent for players and coaches that could help revive the country's football leagues. Ali Abdi Mohammed, or Ali Shine, is the deputy chairman of the Somali Football Federation. He says to protect the local players, each team is allowed to have a limited number of foreign players on their roster.
The Federation tries to promote the tournament and increase the quality, and the Federation's law states that each league can have 4 foreign players on their team. Now we have 7 foreign footballers and 2 foreign coaches.
The Nigerian player says he is determined to remain in Somalia, regardless of the fear and the unique challenges that come with playing in that country.
I'm human, at least, you know, as a human you have your fears, but at least you just have to be man and just do what you want to do, since it's what you desire to do.
Haiti Adams Fitzpatrick, VOA News.
Well, it's time now for our Music Makers segment, and today we introduce you to the group Songhai Blues, that is from Mali. Here to tell us more about the group is VOA's Music Time in Africa host, Heather Maxwell. Hello, Heather.
Hi.
It's an interesting group there. The name itself is just interesting.
Songhai.
Songhai.
Yes.
Is that a corrupted English Malian?
Group. It's an ethnic group in northern Mali. They speak Songhai and they are Songhai.
It's fascinating.
Yes.
What's the type of music here? It's kind of...
This is a desert punk rock group of young, relatively young musicians who are all from the north of Mali. They're Songhai. But they had to leave in 2012 during the Civil War. And they met in Bamako, just serendipitously, but they decided to get together and play music because when they were living in the north and when all of this happened in the Civil War, they were not allowed to play music anymore, so they fled.
I remember that time.
Yes, so this is the group. They're on tour in the United States right now. They just released their second album.
Yeah.
And they are the principal subjects in a really interesting movie that covers the entire history of that Civil War and the impact it had on musicians. It's called They Will Have to Kill Us First.
Wow.
So
That's
these
powerful.
guys they're exciting. I really like their music.
And they've come together now to kind of pay tribute to where they met, right? Bamako.
Yes.
So the song is Bamako by Songhoi Blues.
Yes.
Why don't we appreciate this?
Samedi soir à Bamako, sur Bamako. Samedi soir à Bamako, sur Bamako. Oh, 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 c'est chaud. Ah, c'est là. Samedi soir à Bamako, sur Bamako. Samedi soir à Bamako, sur Bamako. Oh, 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 c'est chaud. Il est 21h o'clock, me voilà sur la route. Mais tous les restos immeubles de la capitale sont déjà sold out. C'est le rendez-vous.
Mali never disappoints. So is it so that perhaps every ethnic group still has a strong musical culture?
Oh, I would say so.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
And this, like a young fellows, but you get the feel like they're kind of drawing back into the past, like they're pulling something out of the past.
Like a disco sound?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's why they're interesting, because they don't just do their traditional sound. They want to do something different. That's why they call themselves a punk. I'm not hearing the punk in this particular
Punk,
song.
blues.
But it's more like disco. I think they like to bring in all different kinds of elements.
And do you feel the kind of traditional Malian feel in there?
Yeah, I hear it in the guitar playing.
Yeah.
And of course in some of the language they're mixing. Well, they're singing in French primarily, but there's some Songhai words in there.
So will you get a chance to talk to them? When
Actually, when they're coming here, it's going to be September 28th. I'm going to be out of the country.
Okay. So
but I have a co-host
who
will
hopefully they'll
do it.
talk
So
to them.
we'll bring some of that back on for you.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Just quickly, are they new or have they been around for
They formed in 2012.
Yeah.
So they had one album in 2015, and this is their second album. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And that's Heather Maxwell. To learn more about Heather herself, you want to visit Facebook and type in the keywords Music Time in Africa, and you can see what time our program can be heard in your area and get more information about some of our featured artists. And that's our show. Have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Today's episode won't cost you anything.
Freebie.
Let's see what this one is about.
Anna, I love my job.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
I get so many freebies from the bands I write about. CDs, t-shirts, water bottles, even tickets to see them perform.
Wow. The only freebie I ever got from my